Hello and welcome back to my 2017 Black Friday Hero Review. Starting off with the heavies here, the Archer, we have an ECM capable sort of LRM mech. We have 6 energy, 2 in each arm, 2 in the center torso. Of course those will be crit limited as they are in the CT, although you can take a look at their positioning. While the cockpit is down here, the positioning is way up here for those. Also, something to just warn yourself if you're ever running archers or things like Stormcrows that have a cockpit down in the center of the chassis, in the middle of the chest, you have to make sure that when you sneak over cover and when you go back behind cover, you go back a lot further than you're used to. If you're playing a mech that you're used to having a cockpit that's relatively near the top of the mech, you might end up in a situation where you think you're behind cover, but you actually are still poking out the top part of your mech, and you need to go a little bit further. So just keep in mind that that can occur. But we have that 6 energy, and then 3 missile hardpoints, 1 in each side torso, and 1 in the center torso. Interestingly, those energy and missile are competing for those crit slots in the center, so you're just not going to be able to use all of the hardpoints on this mech at any one time, because there's 3 hardpoints in CT and only 2 slots to fill them. So at most you're going to only fit 2 of the weapons in there. This mech I feel is a really good LRM carrier. Maybe some MRMs in the side torso. I haven't designed that yet or played with that, but I've had great success with this thing as LRMs. The main reason being is it's got the ECM on it to counter enemy LRMs. So you can be, say, a little more out in the open, be a little bit more forward in the team in order to get your own locks without having to worry about getting rained on yourself. I've done builds such as 6 medium lasers with all across the mech, then a pair of LRM 20s in each side torso. Just ignore that missiles in the center torso with ECM. It works quite well as sort of that LRM support thing. It actually has some really good durability increases with bonus armor in the CT of 22, left torso, right torso 15, arms of 10, and legs of 7. So if you want to, you could theoretically put on, say, a bunch of pulse lasers or some regular lasers, put some MRMs on this thing, and make it into kind of an MRM brawler, maybe an SRM brawler, if you choose to do, say, triple SRM 6s without Artemis, because otherwise it won't fit the CT, and then pulse lasers in the arms. It's okay. Last thing about this mech before we move on is the fact that these side torsos are missile pod bays, so when you press the button to fire the missile, there'll be a 1/4 second delay before the missile actually fires. So just remember that. You may lose your LRM lock in that 1/4 second, your missiles will go into a hillside, or your SRMs or MRMs that you're using will take that extra 1/4 second to fire, and therefore your lead is not going to be exactly where you want it. So either make sure to open your pods beforehand, or just compensate for it. Moving on, we have the Black Knight. And what is unique about this Black Knight is the first one with ballistics. We have a single in the left arm along with a single missile hardpoint. Now, a single missile hardpoint I'm just going to discount because I don't feel like there's enough there to really do much. But a single ballistic, specifically because this doesn't have a lower arm actuator, means that this thing can take an AC-20, which is very nice. So you could do things like 6 medium lasers with the energy hardpoints that are spread across the mech, AC-20, make it into a decent brawler. You could do different pulse lasers, just go full laser vomit on the thing if you wanted to. You could do ER mediums and Gauss, that works quite well. The bad part about it is that it's a knuckle dragger. You can see the cockpit is at the very, very top of the mech. All of the weapon hardpoints are down near its waist. So you're going to have to expose a lot of your mech in order to look over a ridgeline in order to fire down your opponents. This is much better coming around the side of a building in a close-in situation than coming at a long-range situation for sniping. to go with that feeling of wanting to be a close-in brawler, it actually has some decent durability increases with 17 in the CT and 12 in each side torso. So you can tank a little bit with this mech and do some decent stuff. I haven't had that much experience with it. I've only had a few games with the AC-20 and medium laser design and the Gauss and medium laser design, but it's a decent 75 tonner. Next up is the Cataract 70 tonner. We have 3 energy hardpoints, 1 in each side torso, 1 in the right arm, and then 3 ballistics, 1 in the right arm and 1 in the right torso, and then 1 in the left arm. So it's kind of like this mishmash balance of where these hardpoints are. I really enjoy this mech. It's not very meta nowadays, but it does have some very good durability increases. 22 in the CT, is that 15 in the side torsos. You put full durability tree onto this, and you can just kick ass with it. I have a video on my channel detailing my favorite design on this, which is a pair of Ultra 10s in the right torso and right arm with 3 ER medium lasers in all of the energy hardpoints. You basically sacrifice a little bit out of that left arm and just use it for a shielding. You go in, Daka double tap with both Ultra 10s, fire off the lasers, then twist back away, getting that left arm in place in order to shield, using that mass durability for a mid-range brawl, mech of the line kind of thing. Also, these energy hardpoints are right up beside the cockpit, which allows them to be used for, say, a couple PPCs in order to see over something. That works quite nicely. This mech can take AC-20 in the side torso for some pretty nasty close-range surprises, and otherwise there's some good old builds when this thing had its heyday a long time ago, like the triple UAC 5s or triple AC-5 Ilya Muromets, which are both very good. I've had some experience with them in the past. Moving on to the Catapults, we have 2 heroes for this, both with vastly different roles. The Catapult Jester is a fast energy boat kind of thing. It has an increased maximum engine rating compared to the normal Catapults, which normally have, I believe, 315. This has more like a 350 or something along those lines. It can get going well over 100 kilometers an hour, which is very fast for a 65 tonner, and you can play it kind of like a inner sphere linebacker in that sense, with say 6 medium pulse lasers or a pair of heavy PPCs, and you're just running around just being as fast as you can with a good alpha strike in energy-based weapons that you can just hit, skedaddle, do it again. You've got 2 jump jets that you can take if you wish, no more than that, so it doesn't actually have that much ability to jump, just a little bit of mobility, but you're not going to take more than 1 or 2 on this mech anyway, even if you could take like 5 or 6. So yeah, it's a really good flanking, skirmishing, fast kind of thing. You want to play it like a linebacker, and also it has 2 AMS, 1 in each side torso, which is quite nice, so you can shoot down all of the enemy missiles. The Catapult Butterbean is like a Catapult C1 and I believe the C4, and you shove them together in terms of their hardpoints. Where the C1 has the 4 energy, 1 in each side torso and 2 in the CT, which are crit limited because it's CT. The C4 wouldn't have those and would have the 2 missile in each arm, where the C1 just, I believe, has 1 missile in each arm. So this gets the best of both worlds for those hard points. It has the 4 energy and the 4 missile. You could do decent brawl builds on this with, like, say, 4 smalls and 4 CERM 6s. That works. Also, MRMs are decent on this with, say, 4 10s, maybe even bigger than that if you want to do more into your MRMs and less into your lasers. LRMs work on this. You can do the 4 LRM 10s, 4 LRM 5s with varying amounts of lasers if you wish. I think it's actually a pretty decent catapult. It's got some okay structure bonuses, but also the catapult nowadays is pretty tiny after the rescale, as a lot of its sort of bulk is put into those arms, which have, I think they've got okay amount of structure increase, just to keep them on your mech that little bit longer. Keep in mind, this guy also has missile bay doors that you should think about if you want to use those. Next is the dragons, and I think both of the dragons are weaker, with one of them being noticeably weaker, and I believe that one is this one, the Fang. The Fang has 3 energy hardpoints, 2 in the left arm, 1 in the left torso, and 2 ballistics, 2 in the right arm, and 1 missile in the CT, which is crit limited. So I tend to just ignore the missile in the CT because it's just 1, it's in the CT. What am I going to do with it? A CERM 6? Not worth it. Some okay builds on this would be, say, a pair of AC5s and some energy weapons to back it up, or you could do Gauss and triple large laser. That's okay. But I find the dragon itself, even though it has mass durability, like incredible quantity of durability increases across the mech, it's fairly easy to kill, because if you take an XL engine, your side torsos are going to die because they're very easy to pick off at range, very easy to target. The center torso is protruding, which allows you to hit CT even from the mech's side, if not from an oblique angle from almost behind it. If you pick off a good shot, if you're looking down on the mech, it's really easy to get CT shots when the mech is running away from you. So it has some issues in terms of its hitboxes and stuff, but you can do okay builds, like triple large laser and a Gauss rifle. It can work, but I prefer some other mechs within the 60-ton weight class area. The Flame, on the other hand, is a little bit better. We've got 4 energy hardpoints, 2 in each arm, 1 ballistic in the side torso, and the same single missile in the CT. Again, I ignore the missile because it's just 1 and it's in the CT, but the great thing about this is we have a side torso ballistic, which allows us to take AC-20 if we wish. And something I like to do on my Flame is biggest light engine that I can have, so that I can lose a side torso and keep moving. AC-20. 4 medium lasers, or maybe even 4 small lasers. Just depends on if I want to go full brawler or want to have a little bit of trade at medium range. And you can be an okay brawler with that. It's more akin in terms of the amount of firepower you get on a mech that's 5 or 10 tons lighter, but it's got some decent durability, it's got some decent speed, but for its weight, you can do a lot better than the brawl capability that this mech would have. Additionally, some other designs I like to do on it is, say, some large lasers and a Gauss, or 4 large lasers, 2 in each arm, and just a bunch of heat sinks and a big engine. Make it like a fast flanking laser vomit kind of thing. It's okay, but there are some better mechs out there. The Grasshopper, the Mjolnir, whatever it is, Thor's hammer. We've got, just like the Black Knight, this is the first time the Ballistic has been added to this particular chassis. Normally the Grasshoppers are a form of just like energy and maybe some missile combo on them, if I'm not mistaken. This is the first time we've had a Ballistic. It's the same kind of setup as the Black Knight, with a Ballistic in the left arm and then energy just across the rest of the chassis. This one has 7 compared to the other one 6. It would, I think, play fairly similar to the Black Knight. The difference being this has a lower arm and hand, therefore you can't AC-20. You're more likely to do what it has on it, which is a Gauss rifle and some ER mediums or some large lasers to do that kind of trade volley build. You can just ignore the Ballistic altogether and just go laser vomit if you wish. Grasshoppers are fairly good on the battlefield. It's got some nice durability increases with base armor, so it's okay. If you like Grasshoppers, you'll probably like this particular mech. The Jaeger, the Firebrand, this is definitely a mech of the line kind of thing. You want to be sitting back and shooting from a distance, as that is what Jaeger mechs are for. They have very, very high mounts. They're all above the cockpit for the arms, although the torso mounts, the 2 energy in each side torso, are actually very low. They're right at the very bottom of the mech, so you're only going to be using those if you are not doing what a Jaeger mech should do, which is a Jaeger bomb. You just want to be sitting across the battlefield on a ridge line such that just barely your cockpit is getting over and you are pumping fire down range with this mech. Unique thing about this one is it has, I believe, the most energy hardpoints and energy hardpoints in the arms. So where the other mechs, if they wanted to do a combination of, say, energy and Gauss, they would have to push forward to get these lower mounts up, where the Firebrand can stay a little bit sunk more back with that energy Gauss combo and do it. All your favorite Jaeger mech designs can fit on here, except for the ones that require mass ballistic, but you can do your dual AC-20s, your dual Gauss rifles, your all that kind of stuff. Builds that I enjoy on this are, say, dual large lasers and dual ultra 5s. Sit back and just do DACA and some large laser backup from 500-ish meters away. It's pretty fun. And then, yeah, like the dual Gauss. I really enjoy that on this mech as well. It's got some decent durability increases. Interestingly, because it's so easy to side torso because of its geometry, the side torsos have plus 15, where the center torso only has plus 11 for its structure, which is interesting. But that'll keep your weapons on longer, which is good. Next up is the Linebacker, the flanker extraordinaire for the clans. This is a very fast mech with a massive engine, 390. But that means it has a pretty low payload space, but you can make that work on the Linebacker. The entire idea behind the Linebacker is that you are a fast ball of armor that has limited firepower. You are to use that armor and move it around the battlefield as fast as you can in order to put that firepower where it needs to be and keep it alive long enough with that armor. If you like the Linebacker, you can do any of your builds you can do on other Linebackers on the hero and get the C-build boost, which is quite nice. Unique things for this one, I believe, is the 3 energy right torso, which allows you... There's the other Linebacker that's got 3 energy in left torso, so you can do the 6 energy, like 6 medium pulse design on this in just pure torsos. Quite nice. It's a decent Linebacker. If you like Linebackers, it's good. It's an Omni-Mech, so you can swap around pods and change up your build, which is always nice. Next up is the Marauder, the Bounty Hunter. This has 7 energy, 3 in each arm and 1 in the head, which is crit limited, and then a single ballistic in the right torso. Unlike other Marauders, I believe, unless there's maybe like one other, it has capability of taking some jump jets. So you can have some extra mobility with this mech. You could theoretically Pop-Tart with it if you wanted to, although you would have to Pop-Tart pretty high because you would have to get your arms onto the target. Maybe, maybe not. I see it more of just adding to the mech's mobility. Put a decent engine on it, put some medium lasers, put a Gauss rifle, maneuver around the battlefield a bit better, put an AC-20 on the side torso and a large light engine. That works too. Typically with that one ballistic, you want to go for something big with it. Otherwise, you can just ignore it. You can, if you want to, just make this into an energy-based build with, say, 5 medium lasers and a pair of PPCs of some kind, and just do entirely energy-based and just ignore the ballistic if you wish. Overall, it's a good mech and has some decent builds on it. Also, I believe, yeah, it has some okay structure bonuses. The Nightingale, even with the mobility decreases they did a while ago, and the Nightingale got hard for that, it's a 75 tonner with only a 300 engine, it's still powerful. It's still one of my go-to mechs if I ever need to perform in a mech for an event or something along those lines. I pick up a Nightingale, because a pair of Gauss is always going to do well on the battlefield. Just that 30 damage alpha strike, pinpoint, fast, across the map, repetitive, that is always going to perform. So if you like any kind of build on the Nightingale, you can get the Jade Kite in order to improve the amount of C-bills you get. Also, because it's got additional ballistics, I believe it's the left arm or the left torso, one of the two. One of those Omnipods is unique. It allows you to do like the 6 Ultra 2 design if you wish, which is just stupid but also kind of fun. It has 2 missiles in the right torso, which allow you to improve the LRM Nightingale, that meme-tastic machine, if you wish to play that. Overall, I think Nightingales are very powerful still, even after the mobility changes, and the hero is a decent pickup. The Orion Protector has some pretty decent durability increases with plus 23 for the CT, plus 16 for the side torsos and such. But that is because it's pretty blocky. It's pretty easy to shoot off a particular side. You can pick off right or left torso, or quite easily center torso, as sort of these lines, these colors, they outline this where the center torso is. So it gets a little easy. But for hardpoints, we have 3 energy weapons, 1 in each arm, 1 in the left torso, 2 ballistics in the right, and then 2 missile in the left. You can do sort of like a mini Atlas type thing with like a pair of SRM 6s, an LB10, or maybe even LB20 with the new equipment and a standard engine, and some medium lasers, and just be like, I'm a mini Atlas. And that works. But I found this mech is a little weaker because of its large hitboxes, because it would be so much nicer if it had like 1 more energy hardpoint or 1 more missile hardpoint. I feel that would make it pretty nice. It can perform decently well now. You can do triple large lasers and a Gauss. You can do a pair of UAC 5s and a pair of large pulse. Those work together, a pair of UAC 5, pair of PPC. You can do some pretty decent builds on this thing if you wish, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'd rather use 75 tons on something like the Niger. I'd perform more consistently on that kind of mech, because I feel like this one just lacks a little bit for me. Next up is the Quick Draw. This one is interesting. Before new tech, I would say it sucks. After new tech, it's pretty decent, because why it sucked beforehand is that it had a pretty shitty spread of weaponry. A ballistic in each arm, a missile in each torso, then 2 energy in the CT. What are you gonna do? Like, an LB10 in one arm, a pair of SRM 6s, and a pair of lasers? Make it kind of a brawler? Okay, I guess. I've even tried to shove a pair of Gauss into this thing. It just doesn't work. It's got pretty good durability increases, plus 20 in the CT, 14 in the side torsos and such. But the big problem with it, with its ballistics, is that they're on either side of the mech. They're very spread out. So you're going to have some convergence issues unless you're aiming directly at your opponent. If you're having that situation where you're targeting a mech and you're leading it enough that your crosshairs are going off of the mech, you will basically not be able to land shots with those ballistics, because the convergence is so bad because they're so far apart. They're literally the furthest apart those hardpoints could possibly be, which is very annoying. But after new tech, MRMs opened up, which made these 2 missiles in the side torsos, which aren't competing for crits, so much better. The new build that I use for this is a pair of MRM 30s, 1 in each side torso, and a pair of medium lasers in the CT, a big light engine, strip the arms off, and you are tanky as fuck with this thing. Max out your durability tree with all these armor bonuses, get a bunch of MRMs on there, you get a really big engine, and you can just run down people and MRM them all day. This is actually a pretty decent hero with new tech. New tech saved this one. Beforehand, I'd say it's not worth it. Now, it's pretty decent. Next up is the Rifleman. It is sort of the little brother to the Jaeger mech, with 5 times less. However, its hitbox locations for its hardpoints is a little bit better than the Jaeger. Where the Jaeger had the energy hardpoints that were in its side torsos down at sort of its waist, this has them right in line with the cockpit. So if you can see it, you can shoot it with all of your weaponry. This is a pretty nice mech. You can do things like a pair of Ultra 5s and some 4ER mediums, sit back and shoot those from a distance. You could do a laser Vom design with 4 energy weapons of some kind, say triple large pulse and a medium or something like that, if you want to fit that on there. Not exactly sure how, but I'm just spitballing here. It's got 2 ballistics in each arm, so another build that I really enjoy on this thing is getting the macro out and doing 4 AC2s, just shooting Daka downrange. that works quite nicely. I enjoy this mech. It is a really good fire support mech. It will not stand up in a brawl, so you want to make sure you stay away from your opponent, as it only has paltry structure increases. So load up with some mid-range, sort of 400, 500 meter range and up, and stay back, use that range, and just put fire support down. You are a second line mech. You are definitely not the front guy, but it still works quite well. Next up is the Roughneck. Now, I haven't played this Roughneck a lot, but it has some decent quirks. We have a UAC jam chance of minus 25%, which is very important to note. So if you're using UACs in these ballistic arms, which we have a ballistic in each arm, 2 energy in each side torsos, and a missile in the CT, which is CT slot limited. So I basically just ignore the missile. We also, like all Roughnecks, have massive durability increases with plus 20 structure in the CT, plus 10 armor in the CT. You get these things fully maxed out with a full durability tree. It is about as durable as a stock Kodiak. So a 65 tonner is durable as a stock 100 tonner. Yeah, you can take a lot of firepower on this thing. You can just absorb all of that damage. Then you want to capitalize on that UAC jam chance quirk, right? You can do things like 4 ER mediums, which these side torso laser points are right on the top of the mech. They are amazing up there. So you can see it, you can shoot it. Unfortunately, kind of like the quick draw, we have the ballistics, which are down in the arms. They're on either side of the mech. You have a little bit of convergence issues, so that can be a problem. Keep in mind for that. But 4 ER mediums, a pair of Ultra 5s, you can do, say, 4 medium pulse and a single Ultra 10 in one arm, or you can just do an entire, say, ignore the energy weapons, make, I think you can fit on a pair of Ultra 10s and just go with that, or you can ignore the ballistics and just do a bunch of energy hardpoints with a combination of like large lasers and PPCs, nice and high, and then just hardly need to expose anything on your mech, and you can shoot over all sorts of terrain. So I think a decent one, you just have to keep in mind that you're going to have to worry about your ballistic arm convergence. Next up, another Omni, the Summoner. If you like summoners, you might want to pick this up, because it's an Omni. You can do all your favorite summoner designs on it, your 2 PPCs, your mass SRMs, whatever else people run on summoners, because that's the only 2 builds that I use. Pretty decent. If it wasn't for the loyalty mechs that came out, which they should come out for C-Bills, or they haven't, or they already have, or they should come out soon for C-Bills, the last year loyalties that have energy in each side torso. This one has an energy in the left torso, if you don't have it, so that's kind of nice. Otherwise, yeah, it's an Omni. You might want to pick it up if you like various builds that are done on this Omni. Next up is the Thunderbolt, the top dog. Some decent durability increases for structure across the chassis, and 9 energy hardpoints. 4 in the left torso, 4 in the right torso, 1 in the arm. You can see these energy hardpoints here. The one in the arm is low and to the side, so I actually tend to ignore it. I tend to not do designs with it. I just stick to the 8 in the side torsos and strip the arms down for some extra tonnage. The 2 here, just to the right of the cockpit, are very high mounted. If you can see it, you can shoot at kind of height. So I tend to order when I put in the weaponry, and you can shunt weapons around depending on the order to say if I do medium lasers and PPCs, I make sure I push the PPCs into those higher spots. If I do medium laser and large pulse, I make sure to push those large pulse into those higher spots. And you can do that with proper ordering of your weapons in the mech lab, so keep in mind to watch out for that. Otherwise, some good designs of this are like 8 medium pulse, with a left-right click for the left click being these 4 that are right below the cockpit, the right click being the higher ones for a little bit of peakiness. That works as an amazing brawler. Doesn't take that much weight. You can possibly even have a standard engine in order to make this thing as tanky as hell. It's good. I like this thing. It's a decent energy, mid-range, or brawling type design. You could do long-range sniping with mass ER larges. I would vote for quirks here. Energy range plus 10. I think it's pretty decent. the Timberwolf. If you like Timbers, you might want to get it because it's an Omni mech. Timberwolves are pretty powerful mechs, although they have maybe fallen out a little bit of favor recently. There have been some stronger heavies coming onto the battlefield recently. Interesting thing that this particular mech does is it gives you a right torso energy hardpoint without the need to take jump jets. So if you have an SCT that you only want to use that single jump jet in the SCT and just energy in the rest of it, you can do that with that Omni. So that's an extra bonus. You can mix ground pounder, energy-based builds if you wish to on this thing. You can trade that off to a Timberwolf S in order to just have a single jump jet instead of having to force to take 3 in order to get that energy weapon. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think this left arm is unique for the Ballistic, although I'm not sure. But overall, it's a Timberwolf. Timberwolves are iconic and fairly decent mechs in the metagame. If you pick one up and put some lasers on it, or put a Gauss rifle and some lasers, it's pretty good. You want to watch out for putting missiles on it that are LRMs or ATMs. SRMs are not so bad because the launcher is much smaller and more compact to the mech. But if you put on these large LRM launchers, you'll get the iconic ears, but they are just begging to be shot. Timbers with ears are one of the easiest mechs in the game to side torso, because you're basically putting up a giant billboard up there that says, "Shoot me, I'm side torso." And that's one problem with Timbers. But moving on to our last heavy, the Warhammer Black Widow. This Warhammer is amazing. We've got 4 energy, 1 in each arm, 1 in each side torso, 4 ballistic, 2 in each side torso, and a single missile on the right torso, but I haven't seen a person take a missile on this thing in forever. This thing is all about dat DACA. We've got 4 ballistic hardpoints. They're in the torso, they're high mounted, they're just below the cockpit. You can strip your arms for some extra weight. You can do the very standard design on this is like a pair of 5s, pair of Ultra 5s with an XL engine. You could do a pair of, you could do a quad 5s with a light engine maybe. You can put a standard and do 4 Ultra 5s if you wish, although it's a little slow. You can do dual 20s, you can do dual LB 20s, you can do dual heavy Gauss, although that's really slow. Also, pair of dual Gauss, some ER mediums to back it up. It's so good. This mech is amazing. If you like heavy DACA for the IS side, you need a Black Widow in my opinion. It is an excellent mech. Also has some okay structure bonuses, but it really doesn't need them, as you don't actually need to expose that far in order to shoot off all of your DACA. A little bit of PPC velocity, a little bit of energy range, a little bit of energy heat, although it doesn't matter, you're going to be shooting ballistics on this thing. It's great. I love this mech. And I actually got one on the free-to-play account, so I'll be using it there. But that is going to be it for the heavies. We have one video left, and that is the assaults. Tune in next time for that. But for now, thank you for watching, and good hunting.